I've got some concepts and ideas that would not only incentivize pokemonGO trainers to get out and get active while playing, but also ways that would help solve issues for those who can't get out or live in rural areas. Positive reinforcement is always going to beat negative reinforcement, and let's be real here, Niantic are just straight up not doing a good enough job at actually incentivizing people to get out and play in their local communities, considering local communities got decimated with COVID in 2020. And so in my opinion, as a personal trainer who likes to get people up and moving, I think it's clear that certain systems in the game need to be changed and altered in order to reflect the updated community and the way that people play. So I've got some really good ideas here on how to get people active, and it starts with a coin system rework. The current system for coins is simple. You get 50 coins a day for having Pokemon stay in gyms. I have two alterations that I believe would work here. Number one is to bring back the daily tasks that were trialled in Australia a few years back, and have the coins earned there be shared with the 50 coins per day from the gyms. This would create accessibility, but you could balance it in a way so you can only earn 20 coins a day or 25 coins a day through doing the in-game tasks. The rest of them you would have to do through gyms, the way that they actually did it during the trial, which personally, and hearing from a lot of the people in the Australian communities, it worked really well. It's just Niantic didn't really like it, which is a bit of a shame. I think that would get people playing the game more, and it would create accessibility as well, because you could do it from your home if you needed to. Fantastic, a free way to earn coins and get some in-game currency. The second rework, and this is the spicier bit, is to add an additional separate source of coins. The simplest way to do this is to give a coin reward every Monday alongside distance rewards for the last week. You could have it at something like 50 coins for walking 5k, 300 for 25k, or something like that. The more you walk, the extra premium currency you earn. Now they can sell this as, earn money while you walk, but the important thing is that people are more likely to go out and get stuff if there is a premium reward. The eggs you get for Adventure Sync aren't really enough of a reward. You get a decent amount of Stardust if you walk quite far, but for some people that's just not enough. If you have the premium currency there, if you have coins as an extra reward, people are going to be like, okay, cool, well that saves me $2 this week if I can go out and walk a certain amount. And then if you keep repeating that, they can use those coins on premium items, which they will use when they are out playing, which creates its own little system. And especially with the knowledge that Niantic are selling your geolocation data, and yes, it's aggregate data, so it's not personalized, the more data they've got, the more that they can sell. So I think the little hit in premium currency that they would take from this would be outdone by the amount of money they would get from extra geolocation data. So I personally think it's a win-win. Next up is raid bonus changes, and I do think Niantic are working towards this one already. They've recently introduced Candy XL for completing a 5-star or higher raid, which is wonderful. If you want to get people raiding more, you need extra incentives apart from that, and I think they do this really well on raid days. You had the extra Candy XL, you had extra experience and stuff like that. I think that there are other things that they could do, and the Hear Us Niantic post actually has some great ideas. The ones that are on here align really well with the spirit of the game, but it's not going to cheapen the experience or remove any of the economy from the game either. I think that's really good. I'd also like to add that an EXP incentive would be good, like they've done with the raid days, but knowing Niantic, they'd probably just reduce experience from remote raids. But honestly, I personally wouldn't be averse to that. I don't know anyone who raids purely for experience. The main reward are the items and the Pokemon. But the concurrent issue that pretty much anyone who's not in a major city is facing is that people just straight up don't show up for raids, especially if they're not an elite raid or it's not a desirable 5-star Pokemon. So what do we do about that? I personally think the answer is to have it work like Pokegenie works. So you could have your raids in the gym almost act like a portal. So it puts you in a queue for a raid, which could mean that you could team up with random people from across the globe, but maybe it would prioritize your group to have trainers who are also raiding with you in that gym, or others nearby. That would give a rural player incentive to actually head out to a gym and use a raid pass, because the likelihood of them actually being able to complete that raid is much higher. Perhaps they'd adjust the difficulty of the raids if they did this, who knows, maybe they balance them a different way, but I feel a system where you can be paired with other players remotely whilst actually needing to walk and be physically at that gym is a great call that hits both Niantic's mission and what the community wants. Next, egg pools need a rework. I actually hinted at this earlier with the Adventure Sync ones, but have you seen some of the rewards recently? The egg pools are pretty terrible. I mean, who the hell wants a Skorupi from a 12k egg? Having rare Pokemon in these eggs isn't an awful idea at all, but really, Pokemon like Skorupi and Scraggy, who have been available or are currently available, do not deserve a place in these 12k eggs anymore, at least. You should put rare Pokemon or PvP relevant Pokemon into your 10ks, your 12k eggs, or maybe increase the Stardust that you get from them as well, in order to make it actually a decent incentive to go out and walk and get that distance done, maybe people would be more likely to spend money on egg incubators, which therefore helps the economy, and they can use their coins on that in order to hatch more of those eggs. Who knows, but the point is that egg pools need a rework to create better incentive to get out and do that walking. Now my last point is something that I feel could help, but also I don't want to unbalance the economy of the game, so would have to be a little bit tricksy with this one. But essentially I think that especially in rural areas, you need to rework the amount of spawns that happen, and we also need guaranteed Pokeballs from Pokestops. Now I used to live in Sydney, Australia, and I never needed to worry about Pokeballs. I never needed to worry about where Pokemon were spawning because they were bloody everywhere, right? Now I live in a rural area and I hardly have any Pokemon around with me, but if I go to those areas where there are better spawns, I'm running out of Pokeballs. Having guaranteed Pokeballs come out of the stops would be fantastic, and having more spawn points around rural areas would mean that people have better incentive to go out and try and find what's in their local areas. Like earlier I caught a shiny Kangaskhan and that was fantastic. That was really fun, but you know, more stuff like that would be really fun to get people out. So those are the changes that I would make to pokemonGO in order to incentivize walking and getting out and getting active. If rural and disabled players are more guaranteed to get a raid from a gym, they're more likely to make the effort to get out and raid, and that seriously needs addressing if that's what Niantic's mission is. The premium currency solution would allow more raid passes and premium items to be bought, which they can use whilst walking around or getting out in their local areas and trying to interact with their community. It just makes it easier for those free-to-play players to get back into the game and actually get active with it, which is what Niantic wants, or, you know, if Niantic just wants your geolocation data, this also helps that. So again, we're looking for win-wins. You need to incentivize the community with positive improvements rather than just say, hey, you can't do that. It just doesn't work. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments, of course, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons like Rain and SickKP for the fantastic support through Patreon. I really appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe for more pokemonGO content. I'm Master Trainer Peter, and I'll see you in the next video.